All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. Knicks-Pistons in about 40 minutes. A massive Game 3 between a team who is favored at minus 400 to win the series against a team that won under 15 games last year. But this is where the Knicks are at right now. They're in a must-win Game 3 because they couldn't get the job done in Game 2. And in Game 1, it took a 21-0 run for them to win that game. So here I am discussing a game in which is of the utmost importance, even though it shouldn't be, even though it should not be important whatsoever. Going into the season, the majority of people thought this Knicks team could be a championship contender. I believe they had the fourth or fifth, maybe even third best odds to win the championship after the trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. Boy, how have things changed since then. So we're sitting here right now. It's currently 6:20, and I've really never had any less hope going into a game or a series, let me just say, than right now. And I can't say game because, the Knicks employed Lou Amundsen and Kevin Seraphin at some points in their starting lineup in the mid-2010s. So, I obviously had less hope there. Chris Duhon, part of that team, you catch my drift. Where we're at right now for this Knicks team is a tricky spot. And it's just very frustrating because when you have high expectations, you obviously could get let down, a seismic amount. I don't even know if I used that word correctly. A big amount. But either way, this Knicks team, with the expectations that they have, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. And with that, an easy series turns into a difficult series, and you could find the majority of a fan base flipping the F out over said big game in a series that shouldn't even be close. So I believe the Knicks are, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if someone could look this up on sports books, I believe they're around minus 150, minus 200 to win this series. Obviously, the winner of this game is going to be the favorite going forward. And let me just say this. One of my other jobs that I do is I work for the Valenti Show with Rico that's based in Detroit. They talked a lot about it today. And you better believe that Little Caesars Arena is going to be absolutely popping tonight. I think that there will be a large contingent of Knicks fans, but not enough, because this playoff game is the first in Little Caesars Arena in the history of the arena, and also the first home playoff game that the Pistons will play since 2018-2019, that team with Blake Griffin. So they're going to be popping. They're going to be that arena is going to be as crazy of an arena and an atmosphere as the Knicks have played all season long. They're going to bring it. They're going to bring the energy. It's up to the Knicks to go out there and flip the script of this series and play, instead of from behind, to be on the offensive and to actually keep a lead in this game, to build up a lead and then keep it and win the game. You saw what happened last game in that the Knicks fell into the pattern that has limited them so much, specifically against the top teams in the league. You don't need me to tell you. I'm going to tell you again anyway. 0-10 against the top three teams in the league. What has caused them, I'm not going to say a lot of losses, a few losses that they could have won. And that's Jalen Brunson hero ball. And let me just say this. Congratulations to him for winning the clutch player of the year in the NBA. If he wasn't nearly as clutch, the Knicks would probably have 40 wins. Instead, they have 51, to a large degree, because of Jalen Brunson's clutchness. But it also is a massive Achilles heel for the Knicks, is that they are not able to generate enough offensive ball movement. And specifically, they fall into the pattern of stagnation when Jalen Brunson's holding the ball and every single possession of the game, specifically over the last 6-7 minutes of a game. And I saw this stat, and I did a live stream the other day on Tuesday, and I got this wrong. It was from Tommy Beer. Jalen Brunson has passed the ball to Karl-Anthony Towns over a 2-game span 12 times. 12 times. What does that tell you? One, there's 0 two-man game between the two of them. And number two, and also let me just say this, that Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges were the recipient of many more passes from Jalen Brunson. But number two is that these guys have zero chemistry. That there's no two-man game. There's zero chemistry between the two guys. So number two leads to number one. Knicks, okay, CBW. I know for this game is Knicks minus 1.5. The money line is minus 125. At some point, the Pistons were favored in this game. A couple of days ago, the Pistons were favored. After game 2, the Knicks lost in the fashion they lost. The Pistons were favored. Home game, a team that won, 14 games last year, favored against the Knicks, who had championship aspirations going into the season. I'm not going to sit here and, all doom and gloom about the season being over and about how I have, an immense lack of hope. But it's hard to ignore that. It's hard to ignore the fact that this season has gone from, again, at the start of the year, could this team win a championship, to now saying, can the Knicks beat the Pistons in the first round of the playoffs? It's pathetic. It really is. I'm going to put it bluntly. It is an indictment on every single player on the Knicks team, but it is more specifically an indictment on Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose, the latter of whom was not able to build this team correctly. He made one of the worst trades in Knicks franchise history for Mikal Bridges, an extremely short-sighted trade that hampers them now in terms of going out and acquiring someone like Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's like, listen, it's for this team, it's you win this game, you flip the script of the series, and you go out and you destroy them in the last 3 games, and you gentlemen sweep them. Or you lose this game, and the alarm bells will be sounding. 100%. Tom Thibodeau's job, listen, he's on the hot seat right now. That's an understatement right there. My boy Joe Gruber says, absolute bounce back game incoming. And then he also another comment here. Chill, this season isn't over. I'm not telling you the season's over. What I'm telling you is that this is a massive drop-off in expectations, that we're sitting here right now on April 24th ahead of a game 3 against a team that won 14 games last year, saying we hope the Knicks win. Not we expect the Knicks to win. Not that we expect the Knicks to turn this series around. That we hope they do. In a series they were favored minus 400. And this is where we're at right now. I'm not saying the season is over. I'm saying this is not a good look. You think they have any chance to compete with Boston if they can't handily win this series against the Pistons? Again, as I said, tonight's not going to be a walk in the park. LCA, Little Caesars Arena, is going to be absolutely crazy. Nothing like Madison Square Garden, but think about what MSG was like in game 1 of the 2021 playoffs against the Hawks. Think about, I understand this is at the back end of COVID. People were dying to get out of their apartments, out of their houses, and go absolutely berserk at the Garden. But you saw a level of intensity among the fans. You saw a level of energy that I think is unrivaled in what we've seen in recent Knicks history. I'm not saying the Garden hasn't gotten loud in the last 10 or so games they played since that series against the Hawks. I don't think the energy ever matched what that was, if you remember that. I don't think the energy was nearly the same in 2011, 2012. I don't think the energy was nearly the same in 2012, 2013. You'd have to go back to the 90s to find the level of energy. Maybe Larry Johnson's 4-point play. That would rival something like that. So here's where we're at right now. The Knicks are playing the Pistons, as I said, in the Pistons' first playoff home game in 6 seasons. 6 seasons. This is a city in Detroit that has been dying to root for a team to have success in the playoffs. You saw what happened with their Lions this past year. And that they were favored. They were Super Bowl favorites. The number 1 seed. They get knocked off by a rookie at home. So they are dying for something to cling to. The Tigers made a nice run. That fell short. I don't think anyone expected that to go, a long way. But this is the same thing here with the with the Pistons. No one expects the Pistons to win a championship. Everyone expects them to get rinsed by the Celtics next series. But this is their Super Bowl right here. A competitive series against the Knicks team that is leaps and bounds more talented than them. The Pistons have one high-level creator / scorer. One. And a bunch of washed veterans. Malik Beasley is not a washed veteran. He's in his prime. He is a force to be reckoned with from beyond the arc. He is a real sharpshooter and sniper. I'm not discrediting what he's done this year, hitting over 300 threes. He's amazing offensively, and all credit to him. He's been great. Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder. Come on. And I've been saying this. I've been beating a dead horse at this point and preaching to the choir. Let those guys beat you. Don't let Cade Cunningham take over like he has repeatedly against the Knicks this season. Why did the Knicks win game one? Why did they win game one? They shut down Cade Cunningham. And maybe he was a little flustered by the Madison Square Garden crowd, his first ever playoff game. Maybe that was the case. It's not like he played poorly at all at the Garden throughout the regular season in the 2 games that he played there. I understand that the Garden is a different beast in the playoffs, but still, he rose to the occasion. The Garden, in a random regular season game can get loud and can impact the play of many different opponents. And then also there's some guys that rise to the occasion and play extremely well at the Garden. That's just the case. And it's always been like that. You see guys take threes in the Garden, and that's not going to go in. You know it's going to go in. So we've seen it. We've seen guys rise to the occasion at the Garden. Cade has done that. But man, I can't sit here and tell you that I'm very confident in Knicks win tonight. I need to see it. I need to see it to believe it. For me to sit here and tell you that the Knicks have any juice, have any oomph going forward, I need to see a good performance tonight. This is the most adversity that the Knicks have faced all season long. Real adversity. Not, hey, you can't beat any good teams, and you got to pick your head out of your ass against the best teams in the league. Yes, there was pressure, and there was a lot riding on those games that they started playing near the end of the season. Specifically, that last game against the Celtics at the Garden, in which Jason Tatum hit the 3 to tie it, and then the Knicks lost it over. There's a lot riding on this game. There is. Because a coach's job depends on this game and the rest of the series. The makeup of his team depends on the result of this game. I think if there's any Knicks fan out there that's telling you this game is not important, that if they lose it, it's fine. They'll come back in the series. I think they're lying to themselves, and they're lying to you. And they're lying to you. We got another comment here from Joe. I want you to go live after this blowout. Unfortunately, there's another big event going on tonight, and I happen to host a Giants podcast with Sean Morash. And it looks, and I was going to talk about this, Knicks, the topic of conversation here tonight, because more important, I care about the Knicks more, but the Giants hopefully draft Abdul Carter 3, and they're going to trade back into the first round and then get their quarterback. Sean and I will be recording a podcast right after that happens. I think both of us believe it's going to happen. So if it doesn't, you'll get a podcast earlier on after the Knicks game. If not, you'll get it a little bit later near the end of the first round of the draft tonight. Back to the Knicks. I need to see a few things in this game. I want to get into my keys to the game. And number one, far and away, is get Karl-Anthony Towns involved. I don't want to hear excuses. I don't want to hear Jalen Brunson, I need to be better passing the ball to my teammates. How about you just give him the ball, the start of a possession? Inbound the ball, to Bridges, to Brunson, whomever. To OG if you want to get crazy. How about Josh Hart? And get the ball to Towns. Get the ball to him and let him work. Or Jalen Brunson is going to hold the ball the entire game, then at least let Karl-Anthony Towns operate in the pick and roll or the pick and pop. Not just crossover, step back, step through, step back. Like I don't want to see that from Jalen Brunson tonight. I don't want to see that. They need to continue moving the ball. The Knicks are at their best offensively when they continue to move the ball. So I just listen. I can't continue to sit here and tell you that I don't think the Knicks are going to win. Because I don't think that's the case. I think the Knicks will win this game. I think they'll respond well. They will not win this game if Karl-Anthony Towns does not go off. We've seen what he's capable of. That one game against the Heat a couple of months ago. What did he score? 15 unanswered points against the Heat? We know the offensive firepower that he possesses. He's the best big man three-point shooter in the NBA, consensusly. You won't find many people who disagree with that at all. How about you actually utilize that? How about you take more than 5 to 6 3-pointers in this game? That would be pretty nice, right? That'd be cool. Number 2, keys to the game. Josh Hart cannot play 40 minutes. He simply cannot. If you want to play Josh Hart, if you want to get the most out of Josh Hart, and we know what he provides, you know, the capability to grab any loose ball, the capability to grab rebounds over guys 6 to 7 inches taller than him. We know his talents and where they lie. To best utilize those talents, you cannot be playing that guy 40 minutes a game. You cannot be doing that. Because what happens when Josh Hart's in the game? And specifically, Jalen Duren is in the game for the Pistons. They stick Jalen Duren on Josh Hart. And what this allows the Pistons to do is have that interior presence in Duren constantly roaming the paint. Instead of being out of the three-point line, guarding Karl-Anthony Towns. Because Josh Hart can't hit a three to save his freaking life. All right, that's where we're at with Josh Hart. Terrible from three. Terrible. He started off extremely solid at the start of the year. He has fallen off completely from three. So the opponent completely disrespects him, and for good reason. That allows Jalen Duren to sit in the paint, sit back. Josh Hart catches at the three-point line. He edges up a step or two. He's still 5 to 10 feet away from him and still in the paint. And if anyone wants to cut, you got to deal with Jalen Duren at the basket, he's slowly becoming one of the best paint protectors in the league. So what is Tom Thibodeau going to do to counteract that? He's going to have to stop playing Josh Hart so much. And that may be tough for him because we know how stubborn this guy is. You know, you don't need me to tell you this. Every other Knicks fan has told you this for the last 4 years. Tom Thibodeau is probably the most stubborn coach in the league. You know, there's complaints about his rotations. There's complaints about how much he plays his guys. My biggest thing with him is that he's extremely stuck in his own way. And Joe says this. All right, who do I want? Shamet. Yeah, I want more Shamet. And how about playing the guy who essentially gave you the win in game 1 more than 4 freaking minutes on Tuesday night or on Monday night? 4 minutes. Like, I don't care how many fouls he had. He was never at risk of fouling out in that game. If you were just going to play him 4 minutes anyway. It makes no sense to me. Like, what changed? What changed? You think overnight, oh, well, the adjustments the Pistons made, the campaign's not going to be able to go in there and shoot it all. Bullshit. Bullshit. And this is what I'm talking about. The most obvious things Tom Thibodeau has a hard time grasping. And for me, it's difficult to sit here and, you know, refuse to admit that Tom Thibodeau is a large part of why this Knicks team was able to turn around the franchise. I think he played a major part in that. He's like 1 or 2 in that, you know, that list of people who are most responsible for this. The only issue with Tom Thibodeau, and we've seen it in Chicago and in Minnesota, is that the ceiling for Tom Thibodeau and his teams, with him as the coach, is relatively low as compared to the talent on the team. For the Knicks to take the next step, and I'm not jumping the gun here, I just, from what I've seen in games 1 and 2, I don't see how the Knicks completely turn this series on its head and carry the momentum going into the Boston series. So, sucks to say, but Tom Thibodeau probably has to go. He probably has to go. His rotations have sucked. His adjustments have been even worse. Yes, he's gotten a lot out of his players. Terrific. Awesome. You trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. You lose Isaiah Hartenstein. You trade Randall. You trade DiVincenzo. You change the mentality of the team. And we've talked about it. Everyone and their mother has talked about it. This Knicks team lacks a true identity. You want to know why? You'd like to know why? Tom Thibodeau's teams, historically, are hard-nosed and tough-ass teams. So by acquiring Karl-Anthony Towns, a lot of people, for good reason, have called soft. I don't think it's his fault this Knicks team lacks identity. Mikal Bridges, yeah. This team is not fit to Tom Thibodeau's strong suit. And that's lockdown, physical defense. They're going to make you pay. They're going to hurt you on the inside. That is not this team. And as much as, I'd like to give Tom Thibodeau his flowers, this is unacceptable. Truly unacceptable. 20 minutes to the game. It's 6:40 right now. Please, if you'd like to get in on this conversation, I don't want this to be Joe and CBW, so drop a comment down below. And I'd love to get to all your questions or concerns going into this game, because I'm sure you have some. These 64 people in here. And again, I've talked about this a myriad of times. I don't believe this. I don't believe Elon whatsoever. He's telling me I got 64 people in here. I found that hard to believe. But again, if you're in here and you'd like to talk, drop a comment and I'll get to it. So my prediction for tonight, I think the Knicks win 102-90. I think they win this game pretty easily. But there's obviously a part of me that thinks that the Knicks can come out, get overwhelmed by the hot crowd at LCA, and put up a stinker. This team has not proven whatsoever this entire year that they are resilient enough to come back like this. The amount of times they've been kicked and have been down and have not been able to turn around, I can't even count. I mentioned it. Everyone else mentions it. The Knicks 0-10 against the top three teams in the league. Lacked success against a bunch of other teams too, the Lakers being one of them. Did they ever bounce back from all those losses? They kept losing. So what makes you think that it's going to be any different tonight? Oh, but the playoffs are different than the regular season. The regular season Shut up. What did you see over the first two games? Are you too effed in the head to get it? Is it too hard of a concept for you to grasp that this team simply doesn't have it? They don't. So I predict them to win tonight. They win this series, but they're not going anywhere. I think this is a huge test for them tonight. Because as it stands right now, this team has 3 more years of control of all these guys. So this isn't the last time they're going to be together as a unit. Of course, there could be a different coach. The same players, the same makeup of the team. A few different bench guys, but you catch my drift. Respond in the face of adversity. Show some freaking resilience. Please. Embody the spirit of New York City for once this season, like last year's team did. If it weren't for injuries, that team might make the finals. I will die on that hill. If Julius Randle has even a semi-good postseason run last year, they make the finals. So here we are. Game 3. Knicks, Pistons, keys to the game. Cat and Top Thibodeau's rotations. They're not freaking playing Josh Hart 40 minutes a game. I got a number 3. I really need to see more of Cat and Mitch in the same lineup. And Josh Hart nowhere to be found when those two guys are on the court. I mean, it is just it's incomprehensible. The fact that Tom Thibodeau has played Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart at the same time. Do you want zero spacing? Do you want negative spacing? Is that a part of your game plan, Tom? Sure isn't the smartest idea, but he continues to do it. I need to see more of Mitchell Robinson and less of Josh Hart. I can't do it. I legitimately can't do it. I mean, it is the most frustrating thing that I've witnessed in my sports fandom in a very long time. These idiotic rotations throughout this entire season. And this isn't a new thing, too. We've seen it in the last 5 seasons with Tom Thibodeau at the helm. Yes, he's gotten the most out of his players, but at times you're just thinking, what the hell is going on here? Why are these guys playing together? Why is this guy still in the game? Why is Jalen Brunson playing 36 minutes in the first game after coming back from a 4-week-long ankle injury? Huh? Tom Thibodeau continuously defies all logic. Joe's got another comment here. Guys, get in. This is just Joe and CBW. Offensive rebounding is a key. That was so pivotal in the playoffs for us the last couple of years. Well, tough shit. This team is not like that. This team is not that team. They don't have Hartenstein. Tom Thibodeau refuses to play Mitchell Robinson big minutes. If you want offensive rebounding, play Mitchell Robinson. At times on his own as the center. The Pistons backup center is Paul Reed. B-ball Paul. Isaiah Stewart's out again tonight. The Knicks simply did not take advantage of that whatsoever in game 2 with Isaiah Stewart out. That's their enforcer. That's their Rick Mahorn. He was out. And B-ball Paul Reed was the backup center. And the Knicks were down that entire game. And they lost, of course. So now this brings us to this, pivotal game 3, in which the Knicks are favored by 1.5 on the road. Pistons, the home dog. People are probably hammering that. As a fan, I want to have hope. I want to sit here and tell you that everything's all sunshine and rainbows, that everything's going to be all right. Little boys and girls. I can't do that. As a reasonable, as a logical fan. And someone who could look at this team objectively. They have not given me anything. They have not shown any sort of resilience like last year's team did. 0. The little bit of resilience that we saw is when Jalen Brunson went down, Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby turned it up to a different level. Second Jalen Brunson got back, OG had a good game against the Suns. In the game I think that was the game that Brunson came back. He looked amazing in that one game. Since then, OG Anunoby, he had a good game 1, but nothing like we saw with Jalen Brunson out. Jalen Brunson needs to move the ball. He needs to become a playmaker tonight. You're not going to do it yourself, Jalen. You never will be able to. Sure, in the last 2 minutes, do whatever you want with the ball. You've earned that ability. You got to see control sometimes. You just got to take a step back, let other guys cook. Just doesn't seem like Jalen Brunson trusts his teammates enough. He really doesn't. And that's unfortunate because of what the Knicks gave up to acquire Mikal Bridges and Karl Towns, and what the Knicks are paying OG Anunoby. So the Knicks win tonight, I think. I don't know. I don't know anything about this team. They constantly let me down. They very confusing, and that's why I don't touch them, and I haven't bet them at all this year. Last year I did a lot, and I made some good money because it was a lot more predictable of a team, and I knew a lot more about that team. We still have no idea about this team. And tonight, a lot of questions are going to be answered. That's what I'm looking most forward to. If they lose, yeah, I'm going to be pissed. Of course I'm going to be pissed. Who wouldn't be? But if they win, if they show us some resilience, maybe we can have some hope. As of right now, I have none because of what they showed us in games 1 and 2 at home. Now they're on the road. Now there's really going to be adversity. Now there's really going to be pressure. Because as I continue to say here on this live stream, I'm Bryce Gelman. Thank you all for tuning in. Little Caesars Arena is going to be absolutely rocking tonight. Absolutely rocking. It's their first home playoff game in 7 years. 7 seasons, 6 years. 2018, 2019. And this Pistons team has given the city of Detroit a lot of hope. The amazing turnaround they've had under JB Bickerstaff. Last year they had an unserious coach who just took the money, did not want to be there. Had some awful rotations. Never seen a coach less interested in coaching his team. They got a serious coach, guy who wants to be there, JB Bickerstaff. And Bickerstaff has completely turned this around. And these fans are rallying behind their team. Just as much as the Knicks have rallied, the fans have rallied around the Knicks, especially last year. I just think it's unfortunate the Knicks don't embody who the city is and what the city is. Hard-nosed, tough, blue-collar. It's not this Knicks team. And that's why I have this little amount of hope. It's a talking point that I've gone through a bunch with Yankees, more specifically with the Giants and the Knicks. But some teams in some cities win certain ways. You look at this Pistons team. You look at the bad boy Pistons. You look at the Pistons in 03, 04, 05. What did they have? What did they have? Tough, hard-nosed bigs and great guard defenders. I don't know if you saw some games in their playoff championship run. Some of those games, both teams were scoring under 80. You think that would ever happen today? Absolutely not. Of course, I understand it's a different game. Pace was a lot lower. Doesn't change the fact that they had amazing defenders and they played a physical brand of basketball that hurt you. Literally, mentally and physically. And it was a draining style of basketball. The Pistons team, same now. Same now. Just they were in the mid-2000s, just they were in the late 80s and the 90s. The Knicks last year had what the 90s Knicks had. They had what the 70s Knicks had. And they got screwed under the CBA with a Hartenstein. He was one of those guys who embodied that spirit. It sucks. A lot of other teams around the NBA are going to lose some of their best role players because of the new CBA. It's not like the Knicks are the only victim of this. This Knicks team does not have the identity. They traded away DiVincenzo. That was another guy who embodied it. Say whatever you want about Julius. He was a dog. He was. Did he show up a lot in the postseason? Well, people forget that he played hurt in 2023, 2024, and then 2022, 2023, and obviously he gets hurt last year as well. But that'll do it. I got to go pick up dinner before this game. My prediction, Knicks win by 12. I'm cautiously optimistic. I lack hope, but in this one game, I'm cautiously optimistic. As much as I lack hope, I'd like to believe in my teams. I don't know how objective my prediction is. I think it's based in a lot of reality, but as I've said multiple times here tonight and throughout the season, we still have no idea what this Knicks team is and who they are. Hopefully tonight we find that out. I'm Bryce Gelman. Actually, let me announce this. I'm going to be doing another live stream tomorrow. I believe that Alex B, Nick Central, and myself are going to be running it back. Stay tuned for that. Win or loss, doesn't matter. We will be going live around 1 o'clock, I believe. We're going to discuss it. But, if they lose, there's going to be a lot of anger and frustration aired out during that live. If they win, we find out more about this team. Have a good live stream either way. So stay tuned for that. One Giant Step going to be out tonight on wherever you get your podcast, on the WFN YouTube. Abdul Carter, welcome to the New York Giants. And then we'll see whatever quarterback that they're going to trade back into. I believe that they're going to trade back into the first round. So it remains to be seen. Let's go Knicks. I will shoot myself at the Giants draft Shedeur Sanders, which they will not at 3. So hopefully they end up with Jackson Dart or whomever. Whatever. I digress. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And I'll catch you all tomorrow on my live stream with at Nick Central. Alex. See ya. Go Knicks.